My name is Riley. I'm going to be your counselor for today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. First and foremost, I want to go ahead and ask you, what is your name?
Jackson.
Jackson. Do you go by Jackson or is there a nickname?
I go by Jack.
Okay, go by Jack. Got it. Jack, well, I'm glad to have you in today. Before we get started, I do want to review some informed consent, just so that way you know your rights and you know what to expect throughout the session, okay?
Okay.
All right, first things first, I want to go ahead and start off with confidentiality. Everything that we're going to be discussing today is going to be kept between you and I only. There are going to be some limits to this, which fall under the safety of yourself and of someone else. If there's any suspected abuse, neglect of a child or an elderly person or a dependent adult, I am required to release information by law or court order, okay?
Okay.
All right, and then just so that way you know, today's session is just going to be about 25 to 30 minutes. Main goal for today is to focus on your career decision making. Just so that way you know, I am going to keep brief notes just to have documentation throughout this session and throughout the counseling process. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, and then just so that we know some benefits for today, you're going to be able to gain some clarity. We're going to self-reflect a little bit, support you with next steps specifically for your career decision making, okay?
Got it.
All right, since we are going to be going through a lot of questions, there may be some things that will make you uncomfortable. Feel free at any point to pause, ask me any questions, or stop. You have the right to not answer any of those questions, just so that way you know.
Okay.
And then one last thing before we get started, I am recording this for my class. This is going to be stored on YouTube. You can go ahead and view it there. Just wanted to let you know of that. Did you have any questions about this before we get started?
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and start off with just some basic career information. So tell me about your goals for right now.
Honestly, I don't know, really. Not too sure exactly what I like or what things I could potentially be passionate about, so I feel like I'm a little bit like just ground zero.
Okay. Yeah, I understand you're not quite sure exactly where you're at in life right now and exactly what you want to do. Can I ask you, how old are you?
I'm 23.
23. So you're still pretty young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
you hear a lot. You're young, you'll figure it out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, I know that you are young, but I want to go over the history of your career, what jobs you've had. Tell me a little bit about your education and your different jobs and how you got to each one.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I had like a couple little jobs here and there, more like part-time retail, some fast food and things like that. I went to college after I did that, and then went to college for my bachelor's in marketing. Did that for about 3.5, 4 years, give or take. And then after that, I went and worked for a loan company for about roughly half a year, and then worked for GCU actually for just about a year now. So.
Okay. Sounds like you've had a lot of different career changes, a couple of different things that you've gone into. Do you feel like there has been any barriers in between each of those different job positions? Because it sounds like during high school, just before leaving for college, you were more so retail, and then as you were in college, you didn't really hold a job. Did you say you wanted to focus on school?
Yeah, I wanted to focus specifically on school.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then after that, you got a job at a loan company.
Mm-hmm.
So very drastic changes from being employed, like part-time job, and then not being employed, focusing on schoolwork, and then going to a loan company. So have you, during each of those phases, did you feel any like barriers at all? Did you feel like there's a sense of identity change?
I would say, how do you mean barriers? Like between periods of life, or?
Yeah, so barriers as in, so for your identity, being like a high school student and then being a college student and then being a full-grown adult once you graduated college. Are you single or did you get married or is there like a family? Like what's your support right now?
Yeah, I actually got married right once I was graduating from college. So, I've been married throughout my, I guess you could say, post college life.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate you clarifying the barriers situation. So, yeah, I definitely felt like there's barriers. In high school is more like I was like, oh, I don't really need to find my career yet. It's just more about making a little bit of money here and there. That way I can have some for college. So didn't really take it as serious at that point. Just wanted to get a couple odd jobs for that. And then once I was in school, it was just specifically focused on school. So after that, once I got into, I guess, post-college life, it felt a lot more serious. Especially having a wife too. It's like, okay, I need to maintain a job where like I can make enough money, or I have to make a certain amount of money to maintain our lifestyle, groceries, bills, and things like that.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of different changes throughout that time for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like each stage has different responsibilities. More so whenever you were in high school, you're just trying to make some money, and then college you were trying to focus on your studies, and now maybe the transition from all different three of those things to being married and having a wife to take care of and having those responsibilities. Seems like there's responsibilities in each different phase of your life, and that makes sense why you may feel confused of what your goals are now. Do you feel like you resonate with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think I didn't take much time to think about it in high school. During college, I was more focused specifically into like, marketing. I think that's something I could be really good at because I'm pretty charismatic, can speak to people, pretty empathetic, so understanding with people when speaking to them. So kind of with that route, thought that could be a good idea. But after I graduated, I didn't really like it that much. I came to realize. So I wouldn't just say it was a waste of time. I definitely learned a lot about myself during college. But I think marketing itself, it kind of taught me something I don't want in a sense.
Isn't that interesting?
yeah, for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and dive a little bit more into that if you don't mind. With your marketing major in college, tell me a little bit about your family growing up. What did that look like for your family, and who you looked up to? Maybe someone inside your family, and then outside of your family.
Yeah. Well, when I was growing up, the way my mom it kind of goes back to the way she grew up. She didn't really have a lot of money when she was growing up. She didn't have a lot, like in general, I guess you could say. So she lives in Hawaii, so she didn't like get to have the money or afford to go to college. She didn't have that opportunity, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Whereas my dad, he was kind of the opposite. He still lived in Hawaii, but he knew that he wanted to go more in like a medical route, and he knew he would have to do schooling for that and had the opportunity to do so. So he went to school in Oregon, did that, went into a master's, did a master's degree. So he went the whole route with college, whereas my mom was the complete opposite. So it was kind of interesting, like that polarization growing up. But my mom, she came to it from a place of, I didn't get this opportunity, so I want to make sure my kids have that. So she really pushed the idea of college, just to
Mm-hmm.
not even necessarily like if you find what you want to do in it, great. But it was more of the opportunity than experience to meet like-minded people and to just explore and like
Yeah.
get off the island in a way.
Okay, and then what about your dad?
My dad also he was very focused in like the medical scene, so his was very much like, oh, if you know what you want to focus on, then go for college. But if not, it's not the end of the world. So they both supported college, but my dad was more of like, if you want to go, great. If not, then find something to do.
Yeah. So it sounds like your mom has a little bit more weight to your college experience or to your, I guess, the beginning of your career decision making.
Yeah, you could say that.
Do you feel like you mentioned you were from Hawaii, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like your Hawaiian culture, especially with your mom and how she was brought up, do you feel like you went to college and pursued that marketing career because of the value behind that instead of something internal that you may have wanted to do? Because it sounds like, based off what you're telling me right now, you mentioned you don't really use your business or your bachelor's in marketing degree, and that you didn't really like it after you did it. So I guess I'm just trying to ask, do you feel like there was weight to the like pulling your mom's expectation and like value behind that and making sure that you get a good education, or was it something that you genuinely were like interested in for marketing?
I think it was an informed decision based on what I knew at the time. Like with I think a lot of it did come from my mom, and just like, I guess, general expectation. I guess I kind of felt this like feeling of, oh, like if I'm not going to college, then like what am I really doing? So I kind of like grew up in that where it's like, oh, I'm good at high school, I'm good at grades, I want to, I don't know, I guess that's what I knew, and I was like, okay, like I should just continue that so that way I can have more time to learn about what I like. And I went that route, and I think it was also a way to, I guess, like make my mom proud, but I think it was also a way for me to get off the island, because it just there's this thing where they call like island fever, where a lot of people, you know, if you're like, especially if you're born and raised there, it's like a lot of people get like stuck in a sense, where they just don't want to leave. There's a lot of people who like haven't even been on a plane because they just stay there their whole lives. So nothing wrong with that, but I personally really didn't want that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find some way to go to the mainland without, I guess, without being able to like afford like an apartment or like having a job search. And I figured that could be the best way to go about that too.
And going like too far, either staying close to home.
Yeah, and it's a group of people in the school that are like very supportive and are like-minded. So you kind of have like the support system when you get to the mainland, like to learn things and to make new friends and socialize. So.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like when you're on the island, sounds like there is a lot of expectation from your mom to maintain those grades, to go to college, to be able to do the things that she wasn't able to do. Also, with being on the island, you mentioned island fever, right?
Yeah.
There's also pressure there with getting off of the island and kind of trying to find yourself. So let's kind of backtrack and think a little bit. Do you feel like your you that was on the island versus your you now that's on the mainland? Do you feel like there's some part of you that is a bit confused on that phase of your life now? Because there's different expectations now. You're not living with your parents. You're not having to, like, with your mom. You're not constantly around that, and then also the support system in Hawaii may be different than the support system here.
Mm-hmm. Do you mean like am I confused about like how I felt before, or?
No, more so how you're feeling now. So I guess I'm trying to evaluate the two different things. So you were in Hawaii, and you had these different uh, these values from your mom, and these things that you wanted to live up to. And then now that you're on the mainland, different environment, different support, different responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that plays a role in why you may be confused in making a decision for your career? Because do you feel like you haven't had the chance to do that, especially right after college and getting married?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you clarifying. Yeah, I think it's been pretty high pace since I've moved out here. I've noticed that back in Hawaii, it's very slow, calm. It just like you can kind of feel this sense of like not lackadaisicalness, but just a sense of like nothing's going anywhere, so like no sense in rushing. Whereas here, everybody has an intent and a purpose, and are trying to get things as done quickly and efficiently as possible. So I definitely feel that there is this sense of like urgency that I feel like I need to figure out my career is, but at the same time it's like I know I'm young and I have time, but I feel like there's a lot of I don't know, I guess there's just a lot of like social pressure in that way.
Social pressure. Yeah, I can understand how the different cultures have a different demand, different responsibilities for sure. Next thing I wanted to kind of go over is that we're going to start to get into a career assessment now. So what I'm planning on using today is the career decision making difficulties questionnaire. Just a quick rundown of what this is. It's going to go over, it's basically a questionnaire that helps figure out why you may be having some difficulties choosing a career. What this measures is that it measures decision-making difficulties that you may have, such as like low motivation, anxiety, different self-beliefs, and then how the results are going to be used. If there is, it kind of depends. So based off of the results, we'll be able to figure out what we can kind of do next with your career, or not with your career, but I guess with your next steps for career decision making.
Okay.
There is some limit to this. It's not gonna provide you like a perfect match for an exact job that you're gonna want to do. It more so goes over the different difficulties that you may be encountering, different blocks, so that way you can kind of pinpoint that, and then we can move on from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. We're also gonna test your readiness for this, but I just wanted to make sure that I asked for your permission first prior to doing this.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna have you fill this out really quick. Here you go. Just gonna take some time to fill that out, and then we will wrap back up here.
There you go.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Are you okay if we go over your results now?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I hope that questionnaire wasn't too long for you.
No, it wasn't too bad.
Okay, so based on your results, it shows your responses reflect significant difficulties involving. How did this make you feel? Do you feel like you relate to this, having significant difficulties?
Yeah, it took a lot of thinking, and when I looked at the result, I could see how that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, we're gonna go over it really quick. So scores 1 through 9. Looks like for general indecisiveness, it was 5.7. Lack of information about the decision-making process was 8. That's here. Lack of information about self is a 7. Lack of information about occupations is 5.7. Lack of information about additional sources of info is an 8. Alright, so it looks like here too, you have low levels of, looks like motivation, dysfunctional beliefs, unreliable information. So it sounds like you internally, you want to, but it's just like having the struggle of figuring out where to start, right?
Yeah, more like kind of like where to start. Like, where do I find the resources? What do I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And trying to find that passion to at least be able to research, I guess you could say.
Okay, so let's go over your highest one here. Lack of information about decision-making process. So let's go here. So it says for any difficulties you may have about yourself, or maybe trying to understand your strengths and weaknesses. Is that an area that you feel like you have a difficult time in at all?
Yeah, I feel like I have a hard time like dictating exactly what's my strengths and weaknesses for sure.
Okay. Specifically, can you explain a little bit more on that?
I mean, I know things like I generally
Mm-hmm.
like, but a lot of those things tend to be more like hobbies or things like that. Like for example, I like hiking, going to the gym, rock climbing, more stuff like that. But I don't necessarily know how that pertains to like a career path.
Okay.
So it's like I know things that I like, but it tends to be things that like I don't really feel are career oriented. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So it sounds like you, there's opportunity there for us to explore more of like career research. What about let's go over your, like some different strategies. How do you feel like your gender role or your expectation affect your, like your time, caregiving, responsibilities, like your workplace norms?
Well, I definitely feel. Do you mean like in the workplace specifically, or like how I view work?
Let's say in the workplace specifically, yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like I don't know if necessarily like gender has a huge role in it. I think, to be fair, I do work in a setting where it's a lot of women compared to men.
Okay.
So I think that can kind of play a little bit of a role where like I guess there's a tad bit of isolation in that way.
Do you work remote?
Yeah, I work remotely. So in my current position is what I'm speaking about specifically. I work with a lot of like women, so that can be a little bit like different, I guess.
You said you feel isolated.
Not all the time, but I think there is this like kind of like underlying sense of like, oh, like why am I one of the only guys in this job?
Yeah.
So.
Is there support outside of your work that you go to?
Not like therapy sessions or anything like that. But I have like friends and stuff like that I'll go see, talk with, spend some time with.
And then it sounds like with this career, do you plan on staying in the career?
Not long term. I think right now it's good for what it is. You know, being remote really helps support my wife in our life and sharing like home responsibilities especially and stuff like that. And the stability is nice. Like just the normal like 9 to 5 or like 8 to 5 type of situation is nice for us right now. But I don't really see this specific job going like long term.
Okay. And then how about when we're thinking of a different job, the different job that you're wanting to go to, how would you feel like your gender or your values, your support system plays a role in that?
Well, I feel like it would play a really big role in just making an informed decision. Um, I I at least know that, like, me personally as a guy, I like I like a setup where I prefer hybrid, so that way I can still be social with some coworkers and some friends at work, but also not have to be like forced to be in the office all the time.
Yeah.
So I'd like it to be a hybrid, or I don't know. I think being remote specifically is very nice sometimes, but there are moments where it's like, oh, like it'd be nice to be able to like talk to my coworker, not over Teams. So yeah.
Okay, I understand. So just to quickly summarize, so the main thing that you feel is that you don't feel like you're getting enough information when it comes to your career, and you feel like maybe because of the slower pace in Hawaii, maybe there was a bit more time to think about it, but now that you're here in Arizona, you may feel like it's pretty fast paced. So does that kind of play a role in your career research itself, or you just feel like there's so many options you don't know where to start?
Oh, pretty much all of that actually. Yeah. I didn't really think about it until now, but I think the high pace of being in Arizona, in Phoenix specifically, there's just been so much going on in my life and my wife's life that it's felt like there's not really been like a pause to where I've had time to, like, I guess get to know myself in that way where I could potentially see what career I might be leaning to. I think everything's been so quick. I haven't really had that time, it feels like, to make that decision or to get to know myself a little bit more in that way.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a little bit of internal reflection and some sitting that you need to go through as well. It's not just the lack of like research. Sounds like there's also some question of yourself of what you specifically want to do.
Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like, to be honest, I may have misinterpreted those questions a little bit with the information part, because I feel like if I know what to research, then I could definitely do that. I think it's more the fact of like I don't know like where to shoot my arrow, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't really make heavy research on something I don't know what it is.
Okay.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that is a limit to the assessment. So that makes sense. So everyone reads the questionnaire is different. So I'm glad you're able to reflect on that. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, and that makes sense. The different transitions that you've been in has been so quick and fast paced that you haven't really had a chance to think about it. It sounds like we should set some homework for the next session, for you to really take a moment to pause. How can you see yourself doing that? Like, what would that look like for you to do that?
To pause, I would say, honestly, I think a good way for me to like genuinely pause and like take my mind off of things is to like go for a walk or to journal, or like things of that nature where it's more like not taking in information, but more of either spewing out information into a notebook or just taking a walk to like decompress and kind of just let my mind rest.
Yeah, maybe that's part of your Hawaiian culture. You need to slow down a little bit to kind of get your bearings straight. So let's go ahead and have you do that before our next session, just so that way you can. I would say maybe, yes, go for a walk, go and journal, but let's have you try to think of 3 goals or 3 values of yourself, not from your mom, not from your wife, but 3 values that you have for work. For example, like what you want your environment to look like. Is it about money, or is it more about job satisfaction? Is there your benefits? Is that included in this? Just some internal thinking of what you want out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, more about what I want rather than like previous or like ideas from my mom or outside sources, but more internally for myself.
Yeah, because when it sounds like that's what the difficulty is right now with making your like a career decision. Not because you don't have all these different resources, because you said you have a bunch, like a good amount of resources, but it's because you don't know internally what you like or anything when it comes to I guess when it comes to like the career itself. Like you have hobbies, but I think because you've been in your like the high school phase and then college and now you're a husband, there may be some room there to explore your identity a little bit, because identity does have a big role in who you want to be and the type of career you choose.
Okay.
Just a couple of resources, resources I want to provide for you. GCU does offer career resources services. They help with building a resume, internships, career fairs. That may be helpful after you take some time, maybe after the next session, so that way you can internally go over what your values, what your goals are when it comes to work itself. And then I have their phone number if you want to write it down really quick.
Yeah,
Do you need
sure.
a pen?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, ready? It's going to be 602
Mm-hmm.
655
Yep.
4249. And then I have a website here for you, Greater Phoenix Chamber program. It's abc15.com. And they have Phoenix-based networks, so that way you can go ahead and meet different people, do different things there to explore your interest. There's also a lot of good things on Instagram. If you have social media or Facebook, there's a lot of good groups there for networking and career-based things as well.
Okay.
All right. As we're ending off the session for today, did you have anything else you wanted to go over at all?
No, I think I'm good. I think I will just do my homework and then talk to you next time.
Yeah, of course. Well, I appreciate your time today. It was great having you in.
Sweet. Thank you so much. And then here's your pen, by the way.
Thanks. Have a good one.